Ross Tucker, you might know him as Rod Tucker. He is, of course, host of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Follow him on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Good morning, Ross.
Good morning. So first of all, I was with my daughters. They have a 2-hour delay because it's raining. So I don't know where the Rod Tucker is coming from. Secondly, I guarantee it'd be more fun to watch a football game with me than to watch soccer with Roger or basketball with Reggie. I get Reggie was a much better player than I was. I'm sure Roger Bennett is I promise everybody listening or watching, you would have an amazing time watching a football game with me.
Okay, maybe we arrange that. Maybe we have a contest, watch football with Rod Tucker. Seaton, I guess, labeled you incorrectly.
I just had a typo in what I was looking at, and it, for some reason, Rod Tucker instead of Ross really cracked me up, so I just mentioned it. But it's really nothing deeper than me making a typo.
But it was RODD, so not just ROD. Like Todd, it's Rod Tucker.
I thought maybe it was you got a chance to watch a football game with me and Fritzy together, and it was like, J-Lo, Benifer or whatever, where Fritzy and I were a combo package.
I've watched a game with Fritzy. That was not fun. Especially if it's the Broncos. I mean, that's the only reason to watch. Now, you and Shea and Irving would be interesting watching a game together. Maybe the Cowboys.
I picture Fritzy just being a nervous Nelly, negative the whole game. That does not sound like it'd be fun at all.
It wasn't. I've watched a Super Bowl with him. I've watched regular season games with him, and he's a mess. He's a mess. Yeah. Okay. Were you invited to the Combine after your illustrious career at Princeton?
No, not even close. Not even. I wasn't even on the combine snub list, which is fine because I stunk at all those drills for the most part anyway. It wouldn't have helped my stock; it would only have hurt me. Although I might have been able to persuade some of the GMs if I got some of those interviews. That would have been my best part.
But you did a pro day.
I did. I went to Rutgers. I did a pro day 2 months after I had hernia surgery, sports hernia, core muscle, whatever they call it. My numbers wouldn't have been that good anyway, Dan, but my agent felt like I needed to prove I was healthy. Here's all you need to know about my numbers at the Rutgers Pro Day. Before it started, there's 16 NFL teams there. I introduced myself to the scout from the Eagles. I tell him, hey, I'm from Reading, outside of Philly, grew up a huge Eagles fan, would go to training camp, go to Princeton. And he's like, okay, because it's nice to have a local flavor sometimes with undrafted free agents. So we have a really good conversation. My pro day goes so poorly that afterwards he won't even make eye contact with me, and he got out of the Rutgers bubble as fast as he can. And the Eagles, I played for almost every team. The Eagles never had one iota of interest in me whatsoever. That's how bad my pro day was.
The arm length topic that's now superseded the hand size. How important is arm length here?
Okay, so this is exciting because you're talking to one of the world's foremost experts in this. And we had breaking news at the Combine. For the first time ever, someone my height or taller has shorter arms than me. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. There we go. Breaking news.
For the first time, Carson Beck. Dan, I was 6'4" and 5'8", and my arm length is 30 and 6/8, right? 30 and 3/4. Horrendously bad. So I no longer introduce myself as a 7-year journeyman offensive lineman. I'm now one of the 10 best NFL offensive linemen of all time with sub 31-inch arms. Carson Beck was 6'4" and 3/4, and his arm length was 30 and 5/8 of an inch. Carson Beck, the first person, and I didn't realize this, like in high school, we're going back. If I just had normal arms, Dan, like 33-inch arms, I would have been dunking in high school basketball. I would have gotten more girls. It would have been incredible if I just had normal arms.
Yeah, but Carson Beck's a quarterback.
Exactly, which means it doesn't matter at all. And listen, it's not the be-all, end-all. It definitely helps. Just like your reach helps if you're a boxer. But remember, Mike Tyson still found a way to knock out a lot of guys that had a longer reach than him. So you have to combat it. So I had super short arms. What would I do? I attacked immediately. It's called jump setting, where as soon as the ball is snapped, I would use the initial quickness to try to get on the guy right away. Because if I waited on them, Dan, and you go against like Richard Seymour, and they have the one arm, it's called a long arm, that one arm, they put it right in my chest, I had no shot. I was I'd be like this. It was very difficult. So it's not a need to have, but it's really nice. And I'm very curious to know what my career would have been like, or, if I just give me 32-inch arms. Just give me, even below average would be fine. But, it's very hard to play professional football if you're a male version of a T-Rex, okay, out there.
Would you rather face Myles Garrett or Aaron Donald?
Aaron Donald. Yeah, I mean, Aaron's incredible, but he doesn't have the length element that Myles also has. And if I'm going against Myles, there's a lot of space. Space is not my friend. With Aaron, I can at least try to jump him, try to get on him quickly, and give myself the best chance. I was pretty decent against power. It was more the movement stuff that really would give me problems.
He's Ross Tucker, CBS Sports Westwood One, analyst and host of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Let's look at the quarterbacking situations here. Where do you want to start? Which team do you think you have a better handle on what they're going to do here in the next couple of weeks or months?
I actually want to start with a player, and I think this is fascinating because on today's Ross Tucker Football Podcast, had Greg Rosenthal. He went over his free agent rankings from the NFL.com. His number one ranked free agent, Dan, Malik Willis.
Yeah.
And I know Chris Sims, I've heard Chris on your show talk about Malik Willis. Here's what's fascinating, though. I don't really think people want to trade for Kyler Murray or Tua Tagovailoa. And we know Cousins going to get released. Those guys might get released, but they have a lot of guaranteed money left.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means these teams might be able to get Kyler or Tua potentially for the minimum. For the minimum. Tua has $54 million guaranteed. You can get him for the minimum. Are you doing that? Or are you paying Malik Willis, who hasn't played that much football, $25 to $30 million a year and committing to him? On some level, Dan, you're going to get a competent starting quarterback like Tua and maybe Kyler on the very, very cheap, as opposed to a guy, Malik Willis, who flamed out, who he's going to be a free agent, and there's going to be multiple suitors because he looked good in the 3 games or whatever he played last year. The financial element of this is really, really fascinating.
Okay, so the Dolphins are going to be on the hook, and Arizona's on the hook for the money that Murray and Tua are going to make or still owed.
Well, so what they're going to try to do is get anything in return, whether that's a draft choice and or get another team to pick up some of their contract. So that's what all the negotiating is,
But is this like Denver eating the Russell Wilson contract?
Well, that could be the case for both Arizona and Miami, or maybe there's so much money there that they have to give up a draft choice to get someone to eat half of it, right? Like, okay, we'll give Tua 20, you give them 30, and we'll give you a 7th-round pick, or whatever it is. I'm just making this up. But the Dolphins might have to give someone, moneyball it, if you will, Dan, might have to give someone a draft pick to get them to take some of Tua's financial burden off of the Dolphins. They'd rather do that probably than just outright release him.
A source was telling me yesterday, we were kind of going over the musical chairs with quarterbacks, and he brought up, do you think the Jets being on the clock with the second pick overall was enough of a deterrent that Trinidad Chambliss goes back to Ole Miss and Dante Moore stays at Oregon? Do you think that that could have factored in at all for these quarterbacks to say, I could come out, but that's not where I want to go?
Well, a lot of people were saying that about the New York Jets, and I can't tell you how strongly I disagree with that being part of the discussion.
Okay.
You have a chance to be the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. And I know you can say the Jets aren't a great organization or whatever. Ask Drew Aller from Penn State. Ask Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. Ask some of these guys who are now just hoping to be day 2 picks, who a lot of people were saying maybe last year they would have been first-round picks, or going into this year, they would have been first-round picks. So we'll hear all this stuff about Dante Moore and Arch Manning and Chambliss. And listen, they can't all go 1 or 2 next year, Dan. And people, this notion that you want to avoid the Jets, first of all, it's a little bit disrespectful to their new regime. Secondly, what organization do you think is picking 1, 2, or 3 next year that you think is so great that you're going to avoid? That is the worst logic. And they go, oh, they make plenty of money. Yeah, you're going to tell me $5 million of NIL is worth turning down $50 million fully guaranteed. If you know you're going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, you have to go from a business standpoint. If you love college in Oregon, if you think you need more time to develop, we can have that conversation. From a strictly business perspective, I think it's asinine to think that someone would return to school to avoid a certain franchise.
Once again, it was just a thought that was brought up.
No. And I believe you, Dan, but I've seen many people talking about that over the last few weeks on social media, including people I respect. By the way, you're also then a year further removed from potentially getting $60 million a year after your 3rd year in the NFL if you're a good player. It doesn't make sense to me at all. I mean, who do you think's going to have the number 1 pick next year? You think it's going to be the Seahawks or the Eagles? Like, that's not how it works.
If Fernando Mendoza came out after his last year at Cal, okay?
Yeah.
Nobody knows him. Might have done the interviews great. Might have been a, decent combine. Is he a second-day draft pick?
I think so. I think he probably ended up being a day 2 pick. There was enough buzz about him at the end of last year.
But even if he stayed at Cal this past year, not at Indiana, is he the number 1 pick in the draft?
No, definitely not.
But
definitely not.
Okay.
He's the number 1 pick because he played really well, but the team had tremendous success. He played in a lot of big games against. If he stays at Cal, let's say they have a great year and they're 9-3. He's not the presumptive number 1 pick. He's probably not even top 10.
If you're looking at the most impactful player, let's just say offensively, it's Jeremiah Love. Okay?
Agreed.
Why would he not go second, even though the Jets have Breece Hall? If I can get another dynamic playmaker, why don't I cater my offense so you have to stop me? He can play wide receiver. I mean, you could Christian McCaffrey him, and Breece Hall, they're probably keeping. Why wouldn't the Jets take the best, the most impactful offensive player?
Couple reasons. I think one of which is the financial. Even to franchise tag a running back is like $12 million. So let's just say they franchise tag Breece Hall. You have a position like that for $12 million. You're not getting, and I'm not saying I agree with this, Dan. I'm just telling you this is how they look at it. You're not getting the value of Jeremiah Love being a top 10 player at that position if you're paying him what those guys make already as the number 2 overall pick. He'd be right up there with, towards the top of the running back pay scale. Whereas if you take Arvell Reese and he's an elite edge rusher, rather than paying Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons $40 million a year, you're only paying Arvell Reese $10 million a year. So you're getting tremendous value. The argument would be that you're not recouping the same amount of value if you have a running back that high as opposed to the other positions where the veterans get paid an exorbitant amount of money.
That's why you went to Princeton.
I think so. And I have the jacket to wear. I got to take my daughter to the dentist, so I got my rain jacket.
I see it. What was your grade point at Princeton?
3.4. Good enough to be, I think the cutoff for academic All-American was like 3.3 or 3.35. I was right where I needed to be, Dan. Right. I qualified.
You were an academic All-American.
Yeah, junior and senior year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Cosida District 2 academic All-American, but we don't need to mention Cosida in the district. You know what I mean?
I don't see a plaque there behind you with all your helmets and footballs.
Oh, that's because my wife made me put my Princeton degree up, but it's on the side. That doesn't need to be featured. It's just on the sidewall over here.
He's Rod Tucker or Ross Tucker, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Follow him on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Thanks, Rod.
See you, boys.
All right, we'll take a break. Play of the day next.